The following podcasts are going to help you achieve your goals in 2025. So let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nene. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've been here, welcome back. Guys, on today's video, we're going to be telling you guys 7 podcasts that will help you achieve your goals in 2025. I started listening to podcasts because I was trying to cut off music. 2021, I don't know the date, but I cut off music. This is the video that I made about it, and there was a time that I didn't listen to music at all, and I turned to podcasts, and podcasts have really helped me in that journey. So that was when I started listening to podcasts, and I've really learned a lot from podcasts. I listen to podcasts for education and entertainment. If you're here and you're trying to quit music, or you're trying to reduce how you listen to music, or you're just looking for a podcast that will help you achieve your dreams in 2025, this is the video for you. And the first podcast I'll suggest to you is The Diary of a CEO by Steve Bartlett. I hope I'm not sharing that name, but it's a podcast where a guy named Steve Bartlett usually invites thinkers and intelligent people to his podcast to talk about different things. They talk about a lot of things. I feel like it is one of the most educational podcasts on the internet. It is really educational. I would really recommend this podcast to you if you want to achieve your goals in 2025. It will broaden your mind and make you think, to give you things to think about. And I'll really recommend this podcast to anyone who is watching. The second podcast I recommend to you guys is the Slay Girl Slay podcast. I've recommended this podcast before on this video that I made. It is hosted by Ashley Legs. It is a podcast about inspiring and motivating women to achieve their goals. And this podcast is, as the mission implies, it is very inspiring and motivating. And I'll really recommend this podcast to you. The third podcast I recommend to you is the Hell Yes podcast. I really love this podcast. I recently just discovered it and I fallen in love with it. It is a podcast hosted by Haley Gamba. She is a YouTuber and she decided to start a podcast, and the podcast is also really inspiring. If you are looking to glow up in your mind and your body, this is the podcast for you. She also shares her personal experiences with what she has been through and use it to educate the listeners. And yeah guys, the next podcast is the Self-Obsessed podcast. From the name, it is about self-growth, self-confidence, self-worth, self-love, self-care, and all of that. It is so educative. It is hosted by Tam Kaur. Is it Tam Kaur? Oh my god, I hope I'm not butchering the name, and I really love her podcast. I started watching her on YouTube, and I also discovered her podcast, and I love it because it is educative and I've fallen in love with it, and I feel like you really gain a lot from this podcast as well. If you also want to glow up in your mindset and your body, this is the podcast for you. I'm not kidding, like this will help you achieve your goals in 2025. The next podcast is the Deep Dive podcast with Ali Abdal. He is also a YouTuber. His channel is based around productivity, and he also invites guests on his podcast to talk. And I also really like his videos. It's because I loved his videos that I now checked if he had a podcast, and to my pleasant surprise, he had a podcast, and I really enjoy listening to him talk. I know I keep saying they are all educative, but like, I'm not kidding, all the podcasts are really educative. You are going to learn a lot from it, and it's really going to help you expand your mind and not make you have this narrow way of thinking. The next podcast is Muslim Central. You don't have to be a Muslim to listen to this. It's a podcast for Muslims where sheikhs like Umar Suleiman, they come and talk about different things. It's more like a reminder to all the Muslims. If you want to glow up in your spirituality, this is the podcast for you. Yeah guys, another podcast I recommend is the Yusuf Truth podcast. He usually recites Quran on there. I think, yeah, he recites Quran on there, and he also recites Quran on his YouTube channel. This is also for all the Muslims. If you are looking for good Quran recitation, I'll recommend his recitations. It's really good and very calming, and like it touches the heart. So I really recommend that for you if you are trying to grow in your spirituality as a Muslim, or even if you are not a Muslim, you just want to learn about Islam. This is a good podcast for you, both Muslim Central and Yusuf Truth. And the last one is Bahja Abdi. So I don't know if she has a podcast, but she has a YouTube channel, and I discovered her, was it last year or the upper year? I think it was last year. or the upper hair that I discovered. I can't really remember. And her videos are also very educative. It's about self-growth, leveling up. Like, I just love her videos. She's so inspiring, and I just really love watching her videos, and I would also recommend it to you guys to go and watch it if you want to achieve your goals in 2025. And yeah guys, I think this will be the last video of the year. If not, you'll see another video, but I think this should be it. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, just let me know in the comment section. Make sure you like this video. Please guys, subscribe to my channel. I see that most of you guys that watch me are not subscribed to my channel. I'll really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any other podcast recommendations, please leave it in the comment section. I'm also in the hunt for new podcasts to listen to. And yeah guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys on my next video. Bye guys. Peace. When as to you forward, God I beg.